imagine that, like, maybe Gragas will do what he always does, which is the Kled goes in and then Gragas just disengages and pieces out. That can happen. But I'm really happy that we get to see something else. And Kled's movement around the map is super fun to see. We have not seen this pick in a really, really, really long time. And I'm super excited because you actually blasted Valdez.
Yeah,
Caster
blessing.
It's Psy in mid lane. It's Kled in the top lane. I'm actually
we get Kane back. You know,
give you a little plus, little clap.
Oh, thank
Good
you.
on you.
Tristana returns. That's definitely more interesting than some of our other choices we could have seen down there. So
Could have been Zaya, right?
Yeah, could have been. Could have been, but we did avoid that. As we are getting into game 1 of this series, which could be a wild and wonderful one, right?
The Kane and for the Syndra, so those are definitely openings you can look for, but then you're talking like, 3 items down the line.
Oh, they're actually going in onto Lehens here. As this will immediately be turned around, though. Gideon is way too deep in there. He dies in the Umbral Passage. Sion is going to go in. Misses that push forward, but will hit the knockup, and the follow-up damage might just be enough, and it will, in fact. Fly picks up that second kill in the gank. And this Drake should be a Freakas, although KT are sticking around. Thinking about getting in there. They have the Kled looking to come on in. Gideon will have to flash away. Smite easily going to go over to the Lilia as Zeus goes way too deep in there. There's a giant Scion in the way as Charge will now go in. Doran trying to go 1v5 here. He's got Hybrid with him, but a big knockup and enough damage on the Hybrid. He should be going down with the Tristana. Looking for the kill, but he will teleport the Kane into that backline. But still, this is going to be a great win in the team fight, going the way of a Freaka. Dove desperately trying to turn this one around. We might have a unofficial ace in this case. No, Dove is just going to flash away. And in goes Dread. Actually misses that one. Has the stopwatch. And now Keen desperately trying to get that kill with the barrel, and he will just barely. What an extended trade that just goes effortlessly so far in Afrika's direction. Damage from the Syndra. She doesn't usually do very well into that, as this is just doomed. Hybrid is in so much trouble. Tries to trade it back, but he's just dead. When you get a track repelled like that with the Tristana and you're a Kai'Sa with no flash, you're basically dead.
Besides not being there as Hybrid, really, really well played thus far from Afrika here, who, with the composition, well, I'm not necessarily expecting to find an elite, because, as I said, I think if you just get to an even footing at 25 minutes with this comp, you're super happy.
Yeah.
And maybe, we were joking around a lot about those 15 minutes as they go in and Keen.
This is interesting. Keen gonna get caught out here. He does use that barrel, but just gets smited to death. Or even one Mountain Drake to the super tanky team. As a Scout of the Week on a fly does about 0 damage. And it doesn't look like KT will find an entrance into this one. They're just going to go ahead and back away. And that one Mountain Drake even is going to be so huge for the side of a Freak. That series is actually pretty good. I watched it when I was younger.
I don't actually know the series that you're talking about. I just know,
Breakin', of course.
Electric Boogaloo. I know the meme.
Yeah, but it comes from, it's actually the name of a series of movies called Breakin'. It's about dancing. Some break dancing in there, as you can imagine.
Okay.
We're thinking about a fight here. For KT, we're trying to get onto Lehens, and they just say no. The best CC and engage in the game. This just seems really good. Doesn't lose that many lanes. Dread is a little bit caught out here. He does have that Zhonya's who we're talking about. May need to use that here in just a little bit, as they're going to find that backline, and Fang is just blown up. How did KT find it here? They find them in the river, and that's all they needed. They find just the one member they had to, and now they're going for the Baron.
That's the one thing you can't allow. Bang can die. He has flash.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
All right, well, the re-engage is going to come in here, and Dove is just going to die. Way too much damage from the tank. Gragas comes in, and now the re-engage comes in. They're taking way too much, and the smite goes down on the Baron, and the Lilia Dread here gets it. And KT, they found a great opportunity, but they threw it away, running down the Baron. And Afrika respond immediately.
Oh, that's Mountain Soul as well. Oh, no, that's Baron and Mountain Soul at the same time. Oh, KT, you had it. You had the moment. And I hope we get to see a replay of that, because my number one MVP there is Dread. Gideon was slapped outside the pit. They couldn't actually make the call to finish Baron, even though I wasn't 1.5k HP. because the jungler wasn't there. Like, he was there, but he was taking a nap. And now Afrika just... This should not be allowed. You know, like throwing away the game in a way where literally the one way you lose is Ben getting caught. Ben gets caught.
You still win?
Still win.
It was literally the one way you could lose, but you still win. I'm never going to say that again, sorry.
You know,
it's okay.
It can't all be winners, Valdez. It happens.
All right, we're getting out of the bottom lane as the cast will go wide, but it doesn't seem to matter. Nobody can break through the Mountain Soul at this point in time. Look at Hybrid just desperately trying to matter in this game. This is going to be a huge sleep. 3-man in the back line. Dread just smurfing a bit at the end of this game, just showing off, as we'll end with the bang triple kill. But definitely a team effort in this one. Afrika bring the hurt early on in game number 1 of this series and make it look really easy. Lehens trying to get that push into the fountain. It doesn't actually work. Oh, man. Doran, he's died the least amount of times, as you would expect from the Kled.
Hooray.
But he's actually going in. Maybe he wants to cast or curse himself. Okay, he goes down. And that's going to do it. Game number 1, 27 minutes in favor of Afrika.
It's still super impressive to me, super good. And you can see it here. They got every single objective that game. Literally everyone. No towers gone, right? All the Drakes, all the Heralds.
Yeah.
Baron, as good as it gets.
Yeah, just really clean stuff.
Direct
and
damage.
KT really didn't punish them for anything, so they kind of just had their way. Maybe Afrika's like the counter of KT. It's like their play style is just really good into a team like KT. And Dread, just insane damage. The guy had an insane game 1 and should be picking up the pog, but we'll see. Guys,
welcome back everybody for the second match of the Friday night, and we had a very close game for Afrika Freaks and KT Roaster. Looking at the draft in a vacuum, we couldn't really tell which one had an edge over the other. What's your take on their pick and ban? I think it was pretty chaotic with the Sion mid incoming. And Alistar in the first rotation of the ban was really significant because KT was forced to ban out Udyr. So this kind of put Rel on the higher position in the support tier list. And Kayn was the pick into Lilia. And Kayn, with his evolve, actually, that was not that influential up against the beefy front line of Afrika Freaks. Yes, for KT, Doran and Dove, they lane pretty well. And they usually play around that lane priority. So jungler just have to kind of support and help them exert more pressure around the map based on the lane priority. So Lilia could have been a lot better for them. And now that they already took Kayn, looking at the opponent's comp, actually Aatrox could have been a lot better pick for the top lane as well. Kayn into Lilia has to be an OP champion, but the game had a very different storyline. Now let's take a look at the first highlight where KT Roaster, all of their players were biting the dust around this dragon fight. Afrika Freaks, their bottom duo had the lane priority, so they grouped up and roamed up in order to get vision control around the river. So instead, Hybrid didn't really group up with his teammates. He rather just resetted and completed his first mythic item, whereas Tristana stayed around with his teammates. So KT Roaster, they wanted to utilize the fact that Hybrid is the only AD carry that has a mythic item. However, Leona dives onto the opponent by herself and she gets caught out from the get-go. And Sion was able to zone out all the damage carry on the side of KT Roaster. For Afrika Freaks, well, we can say the bottom duos actually didn't kind of sacrifice and didn't reset for that dragon fight. So this could have been a very dicey fight for Afrika Freaks because of the mythic item differential between Kai'Sa and Tristana, but Afrika fought this out really well. And the follow-up coming out from KT Roaster was not enough as well. However, KT Roaster was able to make a great pick, but Africa Freaks turned it around really well. The Gragas was on the bottom lane without teleport, so KT instantly turned to pick on Tristana. And Kled and Kane, they are super fast and they are really good at opening team fights, so they wanted to outnumber the opponents. So Tristana fell down. So this was a very risky moment for Africa Freaks. And then KT turned to that Baron try in order to capitalize the number advantage, but the Swirl Seed found two of the enemy players, especially Kane. So he was put to sleep, so he had to run away, and Baron was also doing damage onto Kane as well, revenge from this neutral objective. And Africa successfully turned this fight around, even though they were down in numbers. Even though, well, they were they only had 4 members, but they had a very strong front line, and also they had second damage output, which was Baron Nashor. Now let's check out the player of the game of Africa Freaks. It's going to be Dread. He had the highest damage output in this game, actually, on the side of Africa Freaks. Dread was able to get fed from the early game, so he was able to compensate the lack of damage coming out from Africa's comp because they had a lot of tank champions. Without Udyr, I think Lilia is almost one of the OP champions in the current meta. It was Syndra versus Sion on the mid lane, so Syndra has the lane priority, but Lilia still was able to counter jungle the enemy Raptor camp. So Dread did perform really well with great mechanical level, but also his setup and path was also really on point. He was like a babysitter of the Africa Freaks with that performance. We had a huge pack for 3rd place of the LCK POG standing, and 5 of the players are actually having 500 POG points. Considering the rankings of Africa Freaks in the LCK, it's really impressive to see Dread on top of the POG standings. And 849 is the vote number going over to Africa Freaks, and Africa, they have to ramp up in order to be the top 6 team in the LCK for the playoffs contention. So let's move over to Game 2.